Good evening, everyone. My name is Laura Kay, and I'm the president of the New England Franco-Haitian Youth Federation. Welcome back to our informational interview sessions. Today, we have our next guest, Berline Calix, who is a registered nurse. Thank you, Berline, so much for being with us today. I'm super excited to hear about your journey and all that you're going to share.
Not a problem. Thank you for having me.
Yes, of course. So we're just going to jump right in. My first question is, the question that they ask you in the interview that you hate answering. Can you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Well, my name is Berline, as you mentioned, and I'm a registered nurse. I work on a medical surgical telemetry floor, and I'm just living my life trying to progress as I can, learning every day.
Yeah, thank you. Can you tell us a little bit about your field and industry, so the industry of nursing?
Okay. Well, I'm a nurse, and nursing is such a dynamic field because there's so much you can do. You can work on a floor, you can work in a nursing home, you can work as a visiting nurse, you can teach. So I chose to work in inpatient, and I work on a hospital floor, and where treating patients with medical issues and also as they come from surgeries as well. Um, Usually you can become a registered nurse after 2 years of education. There are also people who take the LPN route where they'll do a 10-month program and become an LPN. And then they can progress and become a registered nurse. And then there are others who also continue to become a nurse with a Bachelor of Science. I have a Bachelor of Science from Oakwood University, and I'm continuing to, go to school and hopefully become a nurse practitioner in the future.
Awesome. How did you decide like which path you wanted to take in nursing, like whether or not you wanted to be a teacher, work in a hospital? How did you decide?
For me, it was trial and error. My first job was as a visiting nurse, and I hated it. It was horrible. My car got broken into, and they took all my patient records, so I didn't last there. And then I then went on to work as a nurse at a nursing home, and then I tried the hospital setting, and that's where I feel like I've grown and thrived the most. So I've been there for about 8 years in the working in the hospital setting. I really like it there.
Awesome. Thank you for sharing that. My next question is just about being a Christian and working in this industry. So, what role do you feel like faith has played in your career?
Oh my gosh. Working with so many different patients from different backgrounds, you get an opportunity to meet so many different people and minister to them if they're willing. Some people won't ever go into your church, but you might see them at work. Everybody gets sick, so it's a great opportunity to minister. And you're challenged because you're dealing with so many different issues. So you really have to rely on God to do the best job that you can and be the best nurse that you can. So it's faith building in that sense that you're constantly relying on God and asking him what decisions are best for the patient and the interaction that you're having with them.
How do you know, or would you say you're working in your purpose? And if you would say that, how do you know?
I am absolutely working in my purpose. I think I'm naturally a nurturer, and I think I've prayed a lot about whether or not I'm in the right field. I think God opening doors for you is an indication that you're probably in the right purpose. There are other things that you must consider as well, but for myself, I feel like the Lord has always opened doors for me to be a nurse, and knowing that I am a nurturer, even if the doors for nursing were to close for me, I know that I would be nursing or nurturing in whatever capacity that presents itself. So yes, I definitely think I'm living in purpose.
I love that you said you kind of prayed about it and you know the type of person that you are, like you know that you're a nurturer. And I think in order to decipher our purposes and to decide like the different things that we want to do in life, we have to know who we are and what our gifts are and what we're good at. So like for me, I know that my gift is healing. So like healing mental health, healing through sharing my story with other people so that they can find a sense of commonality amongst us and know that they're not the only ones going through what they're going through. It's important to like understand who you are to figure out what God has called you to do. And I don't believe that we only have one purpose, and we have multiple purposes and things like that. So I think it's important that you know that about yourself, and for the people listening to know that about themselves as well.
And you never know that in one instance, sometimes it takes time, and trial and error. Sometimes it takes making the or taking the wrong direction to redirect you to the right path. So absolutely, I absolutely agree with you.
Oh my gosh, Berline, I feel like I've said this in almost every interview so far, that like every person I've interviewed with, I've wanted to be in their career field at one point. So I interviewed a teacher and I thought I wanted to be a teacher. I interviewed an accountant, and I started off in the business school at BC. I thought I wanted to be a nurse. And so like it is a lot of trial and error. It is. You have to try it and figure it out. And it's a journey.
Right, right.
Can you tell us a little bit more about your role right now and what the work that you're doing right now, and what led you to the position that you're in?
Um, I work on a medical surgical telemetry floor, and it was just another open door, to go through the process. It would take forever, but I on the floor that I work on, we work with patients with cardiac issues, those who have abdominal surgeries, like, gastric bypasses, those who are trying to lose weight. We do a lot of trauma, gunshot wounds. I work at a city hospital, so we get a lot of patients who are intoxicated, and you have to deal with that. Mental health is huge, and you just can't get away from it. So we have a lot of patients with mental health issues. On the floor that I work on, it's common to see security come on the floor because patients will act up, and it's very fast paced. You're always learning, you're always growing. My floor is very big on education, so in order to keep up, you have to kind of do your continuing education just to make sure that you're doing the right thing. There's a lot of teamwork. I have a great support system. We all help out each other, and we have great relationships with the other medical professionals, the social workers, the doctors, the physical therapists, and you really see a lot of teamwork in being used for the betterment of the patient. It's just a great place to learn, great opportunity to meet people and grow in your field, and absolutely as a person as well.
I love that you talked about the collaboration that you have with the different people that you're working with, because when you think about humans and us as people, like
we're complex.
Yeah, we're so complex. There's so many different aspects to us. Like our mental health impacts our physical health, and all of it's connected. And so I love that at your hospital, you are working in collaboration with different people. I'm really passionate about holistic care, so I love that.
Absolutely, me too.
You kind of talked about this a little bit earlier in terms of the education and training necessary. Can you talk about whether or not you had like prior experience like in this field? Like how did you like get the hands-on experience to know like this is something that I like, or I don't want to do this?
I didn't, when I went to school, I don't think I worked as a CNA. So I think that's a great way to get in there and see if you like it or not, because CNAs are so pivotal to the work of nursing. If you don't have good CNAs, then you're probably going to have a bad day. But you see firsthand what the nurses do. You see what doctors do, you see the physical therapist, and most importantly, you have patient care. You have that one-on-one interaction with the patient. So I think that was great experience for me to really see, okay, this is what I'm getting myself into. So working as a CNA, working even as a dietary tech, some people, just to see what it's like to work in the healthcare setting, they'll become a dietary tech, and they'll just see what it's like to be there. So in any way that you can get yourself into a nursing home or hospital or any field in healthcare, I think that's a great way to really assess if it's for you.
Yeah, and I think this is one of those careers that you need to know whether or not it's for you, because it's hard. And that goes into my next question, which is, what would you say is like the most challenging part of your job?
Oh my goodness. The most challenging part of my job is being able to rely on people for help when you don't know something. Um, and know that, you know, you're not an island unto yourself. You know, you have to rely on others and their knowledge, their experience, their point of view, their education. Um, you have to be willing to be okay with not knowing everything. Um, Another hard aspect of my job is just the multitasking of it all. You have to answer to the patient, you have to answer to the patient's family, the doctors, you know, you might have blood hanging in one room, you might have a patient who has chest pain in another, and you have to prioritize and see, okay, I'm only one person. What decision or what do I do at this moment that's more important than all the other things that need to be done? So multitasking is huge. And also caring for yourself. As a nurturer, you're constantly giving. You're giving at work. You might be at home and you have to give at home as well. So making time to give yourself and nurture yourself is very important so that you don't have a mental breakdown, because you see so much and it weighs down on you. So I think that's probably another thing that's hard about this occupation, is just having that balance and caring for others, but also making time to care for yourself as well.
Yeah, for sure.
Mhm.
On the opposite side of that, what would you say is the most rewarding?
Oh my gosh. I think the most rewarding part is knowing that you've had a significant impact on the life of your patient. You know, when they leave and they say, you know, thank you so much, you did a great job. Or, you know, I feel when you make a connection with a patient, because you won't make connections with everyone, you know, you can do so much for a patient and they won't appreciate what you do. And sometimes that can be discouraging. But when you really have a positive interaction with a patient and you feel like you've touched them not only physically but mentally or even spiritually, then that makes your day and you feel like, okay, I want to get up and do this again.
Yeah, I love that. That's beautiful. Seeing your impact and
Absolutely.
seeing like your patient come in, how they came in and how it started to like when they're leaving, and to see the transformation.
Mm.
If you could do this all over again, would you choose the same path for yourself? If not, what would you do differently?
um with nursing, I think experience counts so much. I think that I would have become a CNA, then become an LPN, and then do my RN and then get my bachelor's. I think that I would have been a stronger nurse if I did it that way, and I think I probably would have saved some money as well. So it's okay to go the slow route. Um, but you know, everybody has their own experience and what works best for them. But if I did it, I think I would have probably wanted to save some money and, you know, get my LPN first and then become a registered nurse and stuff. So,
Yeah, and I like that you said that it's okay to go the slow route. I think as people, we're always comparing ourselves to other people. We want instant gratification. We
mhm,
think like, oh, this person is super successful. I have to do everything that they did to be successful too. And it's like everybody's journey is different. And just because your path takes longer doesn't mean it's less valuable. It's just a different path. And you learn as much as you can along the way. You know what I mean? So I love that you said that.
while I was in college, I met someone who got their bachelor's and went straight into doing their master's in nursing. And then after completing their master's, they realized that they didn't like nursing, they didn't like blood, you know, and it just wasn't for them. And eventually they went into education. So I think that experience really helps to help you make a decision about if this is really for you, you know.
Yeah, I mean, I would hope that you know that you don't like blood before you decide to become a nurse practitioner. But I mean, everybody's different.
To
um,
each his own.
yeah, right. When we talked about this a little bit earlier, you talked about caring for yourself. When
Mhm.
work is stressful, what do you do to take care of yourself?
Oh wow. I should do more, honestly, but I love just spending time with friends, good conversations, writing, getting my hair done, getting my nails done, you know, shopping, traveling, anything that makes me feel good at the time. I like to go out and eat, you know, and even that is work. I think that's what makes it more difficult because you have to schedule it in. You have to be intentional about it. And because that requires energy from you, sometimes it's like the last thing on your mind. But I try to even just be still. You know, sometimes I stay in my car before I go in my house coming from work, and I just like to be in silence. And my mother hates it, you know. She's like, come in the house, you know. But I just need to almost like relieve myself of the previous stress before I take on something new. So that's what I do. Sometimes I just sit in my car and I'm just in my own presence, and I'm in silence, and I feel great.
What about when work is stressful while you're at work? What do you do? Like if there's a stressful patient situation or something going on in the hospital, how do you like handle it in that moment?
Sometimes you have to just know when to reach out to your coworkers. If like a patient is agitated, we do have a panic button, and security will come right up. Sometimes you have to scream, "Hey, I need help," or press something, the rapid response button, like in the patient's room. So knowing all of those preventative measures and knowing how to act in emergency, that's a part of the training that you receive as well. So that when there is a situation, you'll know what to do, and you have to know how to act quickly because things happen so quickly. And you know, if you're kind of frazzled or you have anxiety, then you know that can be an issue. Mhm.
Yeah. Do you feel like you were like prepared well, like trained well to be a nurse?
Honestly, I think I learned nursing on the job. Um, Being in school, like you're in this like perfect hospital world where everything happens the way that it's supposed to. But in the true setting, you have to do a lot of you have to be innovative. You have to work with what you have. You have to be resourceful. um you you learn it with experience. That's been my experience, that you know I learned as I went, you know. So yeah.
Yeah, I think a lot of things are like that. You don't like you can prepare as much as you want to, but it doesn't matter until like you're in it because
And
in it things
right.
are like different.
Yeah, and you can't be afraid to just get in there, get your hands wet, get your feet wet, you know, and just do it, you know.
Just do it, like Nike said. Just do it.
That's right.
So my last question is whether or not you have any advice that you would want to share for students or other people, maybe they want to change careers and they're interested in nursing. What advice would you give them?
I would say get in there. Don't be afraid to try new things and try the different fields or uh, different opportunities that nursing provides. You know, if you like children, try peds. If you like the heart, do cardiac. You know, there's so much that you can do and try. If you don't like blood, then you don't have to work with blood. You can be a teacher. You know, you can be a nurse social worker. You know, so nursing provides that opportunity to venture out into what you really like. You know, I have so many nurse friends who also have a side business. You know, nurses are very multidimensional. They're very resourceful, and they love doing different things, and their ability to multitask allows them to venture out into so many different things. So find a mentor, find somebody that you trust in that can help you out. Remember that your first year is probably going to be your most difficult. I always think that med surg is a great place to learn. So if that's your first, if you get an opportunity to do med surg, that's great. Nursing home is great as well. And get out there and help people, you know, and you know, have that spiritual anchor because you will have your tough days. There will be different difficult days when you'll go home and you'll be crying, you know, or you made a mistake. And I think that's the hardest thing, when you know that, you know, you did something in error and it affected, you know, your patient. That can be very tough, but take it easy on yourself and just learn and do better next time.
Thank you so much, Berline. Thank you for being honest about your experience and for sharing the positives and the negatives. You know, I think everyone who listens to this, who's interested in nursing, will take something out of it and will be blessed. So thank you for your time. I pray that God continues to bless you in your journey in nursing and blesses your patients. And I can't wait to see what else you do.
Thank you for having me. This was fun.